Will come 2 days after losing a close one in Chicago, as they currently sit fourth in the Eastern Conference, a half a game behind Indiana. Tight standings there. That left knee still sore. Here's head coach Brett Brown today.
He's had some good workouts back in Philadelphia. We think that his knee is getting stronger. His spirits are great. You know, he sees how much he has missed. What that means in relation to his return, I don't know. What I can say is he's right on track in regards to getting stronger and having the knee feel better.
And Doris Burke is on the call for Sixers Rockets 8 Eastern here on ESPN. And Doris, you were on the show Wednesday when Embiid missed his 7th straight game, and Philly goes on to get blown out by Chicago, beaten badly in the paint. He said, as you know, that he could play if necessary. And frankly, these games are big because of playoff seeding right now. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, they had an opportunity, had they won that Chicago game, to be in third place by themselves. But Robin Lopez and Chicago went right to work on the interior. There's no question they're missing him, that these games are critical. But I do believe that the right thing for Joel Embiid is to be healthy come playoff time, because he is their focal point. He does such damage in the post, one of the best in the league. But the reality is this, Sage, the longer this goes on, the more concerning it is to me, because you start to wonder about long-term health and viability when things really turn up in the playoffs.
Yeah, especially, again, with the importance of these games as the standings go back and forth, really. Meantime, Houston playing its best basketball of the season, 6 straight wins, hottest team in the NBA. What has been the key in your mind?
Well, I think many things, to be perfectly honest with you. If you think back to their success a season ago, there were a number of ingredients. The focal point are these two men. And for me, Chris Paul has got to be the Hall of Fame point guard he has spent his career becoming. And I mean that both as a knockdown three-point shooter and as a terrific setup guy. Let's remember, this team is shooting threes at an historic rate, and nobody better than Chris Paul to deliver it. But to me, obviously, you're still looking at a ton of James Harden. I would like to see Clint Capella's offensive numbers go up just a little bit to the pre-injury, but they've got all the answers of late anyway.
Yeah, again, to your point about Chris Paul, though, I feel like this has to be the year for him. He has got to stay healthy, or else you know what we're all going to start hearing. Doris Burke live from Houston. Enjoy the game tonight, 8 Eastern, here on ESPN.
Thank you, Sage.
Guard Kyrie Irving expected to play tomorrow night against the Lakers after missing Wednesday's game due to a thigh contusion. Irving did practice Friday today, and Coach Brad Stevens said every indication is that the 8-year vet will indeed play. As I said earlier, pretty big game tonight in the Bay Area, as the Golden State Warriors, the defending champions, the 1 seed in the West currently, could be unseated at the top of the conference standings by the Denver Nuggets. They lost by 33 points in their last game Tuesday against Boston. It was their worst home loss in the Steve Kerr era. It was brutal. Here's the thing, it wasn't an isolated incident. The Warriors have 5 20-point losses at home this season. Only 2 teams have more, and they're teams that aren't good. The Bulls and the Cavs, they have 2 of the 4 worst records in the league. And defense could be the culprit. Usually, the defense is excellent, but Golden State right now ranks 22nd in defensive efficiency at home. They've never been in the bottom half of the league under Steve Kerr. They also rank a respectable 12th in that category on the road, just FYI. So despite the struggles, our projections still have Golden State as the heavy favorite to get that 1 seed out west. Right now, it's an 83% chance. That's according to BPI, with one of the big factors being Denver's really tough remaining schedule. But Steve Kerr is looking for a strong finish overall.
We want home court. Yeah, I mean, what I've talked about is health is always the #1 priority, and it will remain so. But it's time for us to turn it up, to lock in, and I think we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our fans, to give them our best stuff over the coming months. And it's been lacking, and it's disappointing. But we got a great opportunity ahead of us to close the season strong and to play well and deep into the playoffs, and it's all right there for us.
Joined now by Stephen A. Smith. We just heard Steve Kerr say it. We want home court. So obviously they won the title last year without home court in the West. So how important is it, in your opinion, Stephen A., for them to get the #1 seed this season, a very different season for Golden State?
Well, I think it's going to be pivotal for several reasons. Number one, it's not just the Houston Rockets that you have to worry about these coming playoffs. The Oklahoma City Thunder are formidable. The Denver Nuggets are incredibly formidable. Even though they're relatively young, they can make shots. They're skilled. And more importantly, playing at that high altitude, there was a reason why they've won so many games on home or at home this year. They've been very, very successful at home. So because of that reality, you're the Golden State Warriors. You definitely want home court advantage for that reason alone.
It just feels very different with the Warriors this season. Even the way Steve Kerr is speaking, it feels different. Let's go down the road, talk about the Lakers. They're 6.5 games behind the Clippers in that 8th spot, and now it sounds like we're not going to see as much of LeBron James. Last night, head coach Luke Walton telling our Dave McMenamin that he will monitor LeBron's workload for the rest of the season. And then a source close to LeBron told ESPN that it's not set in stone. He has the ability to play longer to finish games rather than having a really hard cap on his minutes. And then get this, LeBron has played the most minutes of any player since the All-Star break. We've never seen him, Stephen A., on kind of a pitch count. What do you make of this decision?
Well, I think it's a wise decision on the part of the Lakers. I don't have a problem with that. They're not going to the postseason. We recognize that. And he signed for 4 years at $153 million. You want to make sure that he's here for the final 3 years, ready to maximize whatever potential he may have. But I am interested in seeing how LeBron responds to all of this, what his interest level is in playing. Is LeBron James here for that? Or is he here to go Hollywood? Yeah. Those are the kind of questions that are being asked about him. So when you hear about him sitting down or minutes restrictions or what have you, it's not whether he plays or not or how much he plays. It's where his interest lies and what level of passion he has for this basketball franchise. They don't care about what he did in Cleveland. They don't care about what he did in Miami. They care about what he does here and what his commitment is to the Lakers. I don't think it's right to question him. He's earned the right for us to think better than that.
Sure.
But Laker Nation doesn't care. They never cared before, and they don't care now.
And body language, though, throughout the tough times this season has been a little different than we've seen in past seasons. So I think it's a fair question right now. We'll see how this plays out as the Lakers host the Celtics tomorrow night on ABC. And Stephen A. Smith, I know you'll be there. Enjoy.
Still to come on International Women's Day, Steph Curry answers the call for one of his biggest fans, a young lady, ahead of their big game tonight against the Nuggets.
Bucks had lost consecutive games for the first time this season. They won't lose 3 in a row, 117-98. This is the team with the best record in the NBA that was a 100-1 odds to win the NBA title before the season started. Speaking of numbers, they dispatched the best in the East, going 9-3 against the other top 5 in the East. That's the best record of any team in the conference. Thursday's 19-point win, largest in any of those 12 games against your top East teams. Overall, Milwaukee leads the NBA with 21 wins of at least 15 points. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's averaged 28 points per game against the top 5 teams in the East. The only players who have averaged more are named James Harden, Paul George, and Kemba Walker. Let's head out to Milwaukee, bring in Malika Andrews, and Pau Gasol making his home debut for the Bucks. He played about 10-plus minutes, got a handful of rebounds and a point. Realistically, what's Milwaukee looking for from the future Hall of Famer?
I mean, like you said, Neil, he played more than he did against the Phoenix Suns last game. But really, what the Bucks are looking for from Pau isn't just what he can do on the court. This team has championship aspirations, and what they're looking for him to do is to bring his expertise. They don't have any other guy in the locker room that has won one ring, let alone multiple. And so they're looking for him to help them set the tone to say, hey, what's it going to be like as we sort of march along in the playoffs? What experience can we draw on from you that we didn't have already? And so that's what they're looking for Pau to bring to this locker room.
All right, that's what they're looking for from Pau. What's he think of his new team?
I mean, this morning I asked Paul, did you think that you were going to end up in Milwaukee? And what does this team have in common with other championship caliber teams that you've played on in the past? And he said, you know what? The thing that this team has in common with other guys is, 1, they're hungry, and 2, there isn't a lot of drama going on in this locker room. And we know around the Eastern Conference right now, there are teams that have had drama sort of plaguing their team. That's not the case with the Bucks. So he's pretty excited. He said, I won the lottery camaraderie coming here, and that's not something guys were saying about Milwaukee early on in Pau's tenure in the league. So this is really a change, both for Milwaukee and for Pau. He said, I'm equally as surprised that I wanted to come here as they were to be having me. And so it seems like a win-win situation for both the team and for Pau.
Fear the deer, not the messenger. Malika Andrews from Milwaukee. All right, listen, Rockets were also tied with OKC and PDX when the day began. They host the 76ers Friday night on ESPN. Houston and its 6-game win streak with the night off on the court, but not on the show, because when you're as hot as the Rockets, you get some space on SportsCenter, man. Finally healthy, Chris Paul returned January 27th. Clint Capella returned at the All-Star break. Over the last 2 seasons, Rockets 62-12 when Harden, Paul, and Capella all play. When one of them is missing, 42-30. Paul's return has made an impact. He's taken some of the playmaking load off the beard. According to Second Spectrum, no relation to First Spectrum, Paul is creating over 7 wide-open looks per game, most in the NBA since he returned in late January. And Paul has also made an impact defensively, too. Rockets are tied for 7th in the NBA in isolation defense since Paul returned. Cliff Paul gave us this stat. Prior to that, they ranked 24th in the league. Houston needs him there, too. No team has defended more isolation plays this season. Paul is not dead.
We got to stop fouling as much. We got to be better in transition. We know that we shoot a lot of threes, so it's going to be a lot of long rebounds, but just keep getting better, stay connected, and, until we shut a team out, we can always get better.
I think what we already know, that when we're right and we're mentally and physically right, we're as good as anybody in the league, and we can beat anybody anywhere at any time. We do have that. I think we had it before, but obviously that some more proof, and we'll work off up and keep working toward it. And we have 18 games left, and try to, get a good seed.
All right, Coach is right on. Rockets have been able to play with anybody lately. NBA best, 9-2 against the current top 5 teams in the league. That's the Bucks, Raptors, Warriors, Nuggets, and Pacers. That, of course, includes a 3-0 mark against the Warriors, just the 2nd team in the Steve Kerr era to beat them 3 times in a single regular season.
Apple with the follow flush. Bingo! A big 3-ball.
What time is it? It's Lou Williams time.
Shaman again.
Oh, my goodness.
Montrezl Harrell slam dunk.
Can you believe this?
Like I said about us being the best team in LA, a lot of people don't believe me. It's fine.
I mean, I tell you, everyone counted the Clippers out. But this Clipper ball club understands how to fight.
Yes, they do. They were left for dead by some after they traded their leading scorer, Tobias Harris, but that hasn't been the case. LA 7-4 since the trade. They have a 4-game lead on the 8th spot in the West. Clippers have been exceeding expectations all season. Westgate had their over-under win total at 37.5 before the season. A mark they're already going to pass with their next win. And the future is bright, too. The Clippers have 2 extra first-round picks in the next few years. They're projected $53 million in cap space this summer, enough for 2 max slots. They can also move Danilo Gallinari. As promised, the Clippers' Montrezl Harrell here in the studio with us. Man, you're having quite a season.
Yes, sir.
16 points, almost 7 rebounds per game, 1.3 blocks. You would be the only player in NBA history to average those kind of numbers coming off the bench. What's clicked for you this season?
Just having a chance to be able to, get out there and play, be able to, have the chance to just, even with my mistakes and even when I do something wrong, just having a chance to correct it and just be able to play freely, up in my game and just, taking it to another level. So I just kept working on my game all throughout the summer. I play pickup everywhere, any chance that I can. Active with the game that I'm, just so happy and blessed to be able to call my job.
Does it matter to you, bench, starter? Because you and Lou Williams have really done some things with that second unit for the Clippers.
No, it doesn't really matter, honestly. And I kind of learned that from Lou. When you're on the court and you're playing, it doesn't really matter about who, starts the game. It's always about coming down to that finish and coming down to that end.
This is what's interesting about the Clippers. You're in a star-driven city, in a star-driven league, with the league's biggest star also playing in the same city. And the Clippers have always been LA's other team, but there you guys are in the thick of the playoff hunt, while all the talk about the Lakers is their struggles to make the playoffs. How do you guys approach that?
Honestly, we don't pay any attention, honestly. I think when I first came here as a player, I definitely was one of those ones that kind of get tied up into the the Clippers-Lakers battle and, you know, the other team and this team, we're better, they're better, you know. So honestly, I think we really just leave it up to the media and to the outside world to kind of debate and kind of get into that argument about, you know, this is Lakers City, the Clippers are that other team, because honestly, we don't care.
You've also become known, even though you have a work boot kind of game, you've become known as the NBA's king of custom kicks.
Yeah.
I've seen Serena Williams kicks, Frosted Flakes, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Where did that start?
Honestly, when the NBA lifted the restriction of the colorway of the shoe, you know, it just opened doors to do just about any and everything. But, you know, having the color restriction lifted, you know, I can get more into the customization and, you know, actual, you know, bringing out the details of the characters and things like that. And all things that I kind of, you know, grew up and watched and kind of, you know, had, you know, take parts in my life, you know, that I'm able to, you know, just put it on my shoes now and just wear them in my workplace, really.
You're a candidate for 2 different awards, Sixth Man of the Year and Most Improved Player. If you could only win one, which one would you want?
Honestly, and this is because I said this at the beginning of the season before the season even started, probably Most Improved Player. This is because I know what type of work that I put into my game. I know how hard that I work and put into my game. Not saying that no other player has, but, you know, I'm able to do it on the team, and I feel like, you know, it shows. I'm not out here trying to compete and, you know, do stats and put them side by side, but, you know, I think I'm in a lineup coming off the bench where, you know, me and the other person off the bench is #1 in scoring in any duo in NBA game history.
Right,
so
right.
That's saying a lot for a guy who barely played in certain positions in certain times of, you know, his 3 years of playing, you know, so.
Right. It's been a great season so far, and
Yes,
best of luck down the stretch with the playoff chase.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The Clippers' Montrezl Harrell with us on SportsCenter. Clippers Friday set to begin a 6-game homestand, their longest of the season. Won't be easy, though. 5 of those 6 games are against current playoff teams. Clippers have 11 home games remaining overall, the most of any team in the NBA, as they look to make their push for the playoffs.